Naruto, Rise of the Darkest Shinobi Force, Episode 61. 3 generations of Hokage must be killed by me. After so many years of resentment, it's really amazing to break out. Naruto shook his head slightly. Compared to him, I'm afraid that Uchiha stopped the water and received more condemnation from his heart. Neither the Uchiha family nor Konoha could rest assured, and as a result, they lost one of them forever. Ugh. After finally glancing at Sasuke Uchiha coldly, Uchiha let out a breath, quickly followed Naruto, and said apologetically, Naruto-sama, I'm very sorry, I'm a little gaff. It's okay. Naruto waved his hand casually. In the face of Uchiha's younger brother, it is strange not to gaff. Uchiha breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, and then asked respectfully, Naruto-sama, where are we going next? Naruto lightly pointed to a large mountain in the distance, and said, Oto Ninja Village, the residence of Orochimaru. Uchiha Shueishue's eyes widened in surprise. It was actually Lord Sanshinobi Orochimaru. Lord Naruto, the strength of Lord Orochimaru cannot be underestimated, even his subordinates may not be able to subdue him. Uchiha stopped the water and persuaded hesitantly. Orochimaru was already a strong man in the ninja world during the 3 wars, and his strength, in the eyes of Shisui, was stronger than that of the 3rd generation of Hokage, and even he was not necessarily an opponent. Don't underestimate yourself so much, your other heavenly gods are miracles for the Great Snake Pill. Naruto smiled lightly and said, Uchiha stopped the water too early, and he didn't understand the current situation of Orochimaru. The Great Snake Pill now uses the rebirth technique in a row, changing several bodies in succession, although the strength is not weak, but the soul has long been damaged, and in the face of his ghost path specifically targeting the soul, there is no resistance at all. I'm afraid that it is another heavenly god who stops the water, and the big snake pill may not be able to resist it. Looking at Shisui and still a little hesitant, Naruto smiled and said, Don't worry, Orochimaru may be out now, we can't see him at all. At the moment, the Zonin exam is approaching, and the big snake pill ambushes the 4th generation of Wind Shadows, and there is a high chance that he will not be in the Ninja Village. And as long as he finds Shueishu, he can follow the vine to find out where the whirlpool fragrant phosphorus is, and when the time comes, with the cells of the whirlpool fragrant phosphorus, he can awaken the bloodstained boundary of the whirlpool family, King Kong blockade. At that time, King Kong blocks the heavenly lock of the fusion moon world, then he will also have a combat power equivalent to the shadow level. Uchiha was puzzled in his heart, and asked in surprise, Naruto-sama, Lord Orochimaru doesn't like to move around, he shouldn't leave, right? According to Uchiha's understanding, Orochimaru is not a person who likes to move around, and prefers to stay in one place on weekdays and conduct ninjutsu research. And Naruto-sama has been staying in Konoha village all the time, with people from the dark and roots watching, and there is no connection with the outside at all. How can he learn about the situation of Orochimaru? Naruto's eyes showed a trace of coldness, and he looked in the direction of Konoha village and sneered. Orochimaru, he is now plotting Konoha's collapse plan and is preparing to kill the 3rd generation of Hokage. In this case, he can't help but leave. After doing it, Naruto flicked his trench coat, and said lightly while walking forward, Don't talk nonsense, hurry up, the 3 generations of Hokage must be killed by me personally. Uchiha was stunned for a moment, then apologized and hurried to follow Naruto. The people on the side were dumbfounded, listening to Naruto and the church that stopped the water with shocked faces. One after another today's news smashed them into a daze. Originally afraid of Jibwa stopping the water and not cutting off the gods, his face involuntarily showed bitterness. This amazing news did not go behind their backs. It seems that they really have no intention of letting them go. At the thought of Uchiha stopping the water and Uzumaki Naruto's strength, he sighed without screaming and followed Naruto, and in a short time, he didn't want to escape. Otherwise, once he provokes these 2 monsters, it is good to say that he will not die, but he does not want to die in vain. Naruto was in front, a smile appeared on his calm face. In the end it was a good Gyo. No, this bond could also make him feel more at ease. At this time, on the way from Sanshinobu village to Konoha village, Orochimaru and Kaguya Mari were standing in front of the seriously injured 4th generation Kazekage. Kaguya Mari aimed at the heart of the 4th generation of Kazekage, and the bone knife pierced it, and then followed by Orochimaru. Orochimaru smiled hoarsely, looked at Konoha with an evil gaze, and muttered, Teacher Yuan-Fei, you didn't expect that I would kill the 4th generation of Wind Shadow, did you? After a long journey of half a day, Naruto finally came to the door of Otonin village with the panting 3. Haha. Uchiha wiped the sweat from his head, looked at Otonobumura, and said, Naruto-sama, is this where Orochimaru is hiding now? No more chopping, and White Eye showed shock. Lungjin Great Snake Pill, in order to hide, actually established a ninja village. It is not an ordinary small village, but a village that is really close to a ninja village, and at a glance, there are at least hundreds of teenagers exercising, and there are quite a few villagers. This is the legendary 3 shinobi. No more shocked muttered to himself. Naruto nodded slightly and ordered, You 3 stay here first, no one is allowed to approach. After speaking, Naruto strode towards Oto Ninja village. Stop, what are you? The 2 ninjas guarding the village saw Naruto approaching and reached out to stop Naruto, but Naruto did not stop him, without looking at them, and trapped them in place with 2 restraints. There is an enemy invasion, alert. The teenagers who saw this scene in the distance shouted desperately, picked up the kunai in their hands, and rushed towards Naruto. In an instant, hundreds of teenagers surrounded Naruto, all looking at Naruto with a wary face. Episode 62. The 5 people of the fearful Oto Ninja Village. Naruto glanced at the teenagers who surrounded him, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I'm looking for a big snake pill, let me get out of the way. Although Naruto can't look at Orochimaru's current dream, it should be said that his vision and picky level are very strong. In Naruto's opinion, these teenagers at least have the potential of middle shinobi, and a few even have the potential of upper shinobi. It's a pity that these teenagers have not appeared in the future, and I think that after cannibalism, they all died. It's Lord Orochimaru's enemy, kill him. After hearing Naruto's words, one of the leading teenagers widened his eyes and quickly threw the shuriken and kunai in his hand. Oh! With the piercing sound of breaking the sky, half of the sky was covered by these bitter shurikens, a piece of the black girl. Really, this demagogic ability is probably stronger than Dio. Naruto shook his head and stretched out his palm and whispered, "Bound road number 39 round gate fan." A blue film of light spread rapidly, sticking to the ground around it, and countless shurikens smashed on it, making a crisp collision sound. It's useless. Seeing this, a young man gritted his teeth, raised his hand and shouted, "Everyone hurry up, you can't let him hurt Lord Orochimaru." Oh! Hundreds of teenagers shouted in unison, holding kumu in their hands, and quickly rushed towards Naruto. Can't even use ninjutsu? What a waste. The man shook his head, and a blue pole appeared out of thin air in his hand. 6,200 steps of the binding road. Naruto threw the blue pole out, and in an instant, the blue pole continued to split until it was 100, and the entire sky seemed to be covered by the blue pole. Oh! Hundreds of blue poles pierced the young man, who rushed to the face and nailed him to the ground. Since it binds the soul, it will not cause harm to the soul and body, but the deterrent power caused is generally the same. Rao was so, and the remaining 7 or 8 teenagers did not show fear, and they stabbed Naruto in the neck with kumu. Bang bang bang. Naruto kicked the 7 or 8 teenagers into the air, and in a roar, he stepped through the ground and fell towards the basement below. At the same time, Orochimaru, who was walking towards Konoha village, suddenly changed his face and looked in the direction of Otanobu village in shock. Someone has invaded. Who is it? No? Impossible, how could they possibly know my location? Orochimaru muttered slightly, his face gloomy, and quickly ran towards the direction of Oto Ninja village. Lord Orochimaru. Kaguya and Mari was stunned for a moment, and then quickly followed the big snake pill. When Naruto arrived at the basement, he saw 4 strange-looking teenage girls at a glance. It is the only Tongmaru among the 5 people of Oto Ninja village, Tayuya, left near right, Jirobo. When he saw the 4 of them, Naruto sighed slightly. Since Kaguya and Mari did not appear, it meant that the big snake pill had gone out, although Naruto had prepared, but he couldn't help but be a little disappointed. After all, at this time, he mastered the ghost path, the Tianka Great Snake Pill. Maybe he could catch this guy. Once he caught the big snake pill, the benefits Naruto could gain were innumerable. The first is the rich experience of the big snake pill. Second, Orochimaru likes to conduct ninjutsu research, and most of the ninjutsu Orochimaru in the entire ninja world are involved, including the sealing technique passed down from generation to generation by the Uzumaki family. If he learned the knowledge of the Great Snake Pill, his strength would at least be several times higher. Forget it, I am lucky to gain it, and I am lucky to lose my life. Naruto shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Anyway, in this world, he would be able to meet Orochimaru sooner or later. Water moon, where is it? Naruto calmly looked for a large number of research instruments, as if this was not Orochimaru's research room, but Naruto's home. The 4 people who were ignored looked at each other, and then their eyes suddenly turned cold. Although this enemy is very strong, it is a little too arrogant not to put them in the eyes. Boom! A breath spread out from the 4 of them's bodies at the same time, and the surrounding research facilities were blown away. After a strange chakra spread, the appearance of the 4 people changed drastically. The body turned light brown, revealing a deep evil, and the aura was even comparable to ordinary Shainin. The magic flute. Tayuya reached out and held a flute, put it to his mouth and blew it. The sound was pleasant and crisp, like a graceful stream of water flowing into Naruto's ears. The corner of Naruto's mouth hooked, leaned against the wall on the side, and smiled. Not bad, continue. This piece is really good. Naruto is very pleasant to listen to. What? Taiyu, who was in the second state of the spell seal, stopped his mouth in shock and looked at Naruto in disbelief. Her illusion, Lord Orochimaru once evaluated, said that it was unique. Even the people of the Uchiha family may not be able to resist, but this purple-haired young man, huh? What's wrong? Isn't this blowing? Naruto asked a little surprised. Tayuya's face turned dark. Did he really think of her as a singer? Illusions didn't work, what else did she blow? Looking at the black-faced Tayuya, Naruto couldn't help but smile. Illusion is an illusion produced for the human soul. Although his ghost path is released through chakra, his soul will slowly become stronger, and this level of illusion will not affect him at all. Or even if it is another god, Naruto may have a way to destroy it. Seeing this, Orochimaru swallowed a mouthful of spit, quietly took a few steps back, and slapped his palm on the ground. Psychic. Episode 63. Is like Shura. Boom. A puff of smoke rose and shrouded about a meter, and Naruto suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked over. Oni Tongmaru. He remembers that he can channel spiders, this time the channeling. Ho ho ho. I didn't expect that the person who came was not Shao. Young man, what are you? From the smoke came a hoarse voice, full of evil charm. Immediately afterwards, a small snake of about 1 meter slowly crawled out of the smoke, and the snake pupil stared at Naruto with an inquiring meaning, constantly pondering in his heart, who is this teenager? Naruto lowered his head with interest, looked at the little snake and smiled. Sure enough, technology is the strongest productivity, which is basically equivalent to a telephone, right? Big Snake Pill, how's it going? Do you want to make a deal? Naruto asked with a smile. Naruto didn't feel Orochimaru's soul on this snake, thinking that this snake was just a microphone-like existence. Huh? The Big Snake Pill, who was still a long way away from Oto Ninja Village, his brows furrowed deeply. He had never seen this purple-haired boy, but the other party seemed to know him very well. Thinking of this, the Big Snake Pill smiled hoarsely and said, "Young man, what kind of deal are you talking about?" I can think about it. I actually had an equal conversation with Lord Orochimaru. The medicine master was behind Naruto's back, and his eyes flashed with deep shock. A teenager who was even younger than him, when talking to Lord Orochimaru, he didn't have a trace of fear. Moreover, he was still in the dominant position. Your soul. Naruto evoked an intriguing smile. Orochimaru's biggest heart problem is for illusion. The most intuitive influence is Orochimaru's dream, from the beginning of learning all ninjutsu, changed to want to have chakra eyes. I can repair your soul and restore it to its original state, even stronger than before. Naruto said with a smile. Huh. The Big Snake Pill's brows furrowed deeper, and his heart was full of surprise. His soul is weak, only Uchiha Itachi knows. Could it be Konoha's person? The Big Snake Pill took a deep breath and said, then what are your conditions? Orochimaru believed that Naruto had a way to repair his soul. After all, he could calmly tell him about the conditions in this situation, and he was definitely not an ordinary person. I want everything from you. Your allegiance includes your ninjutsu. Naruto grinned. Stop dreaming, how could that adult submit to you? Without waiting for Orochimaru to speak, Orochimaru angrily refused. The other three were also full of anger. Lord Orochimaru was the benefactor who saved them from the sea of suffering, the greatest person in the world. How could he submit to a hairy boy who didn't have any hair? Ho ho ho, don't be rude to Orochimaru, maybe I will really agree, wait for me to go back and have a good talk. Orochimaru smiled hoarsely, and said with an interested look. Insincere. Naruto pouted, stood up, and trampled the little snake into mashed meat with one kick. Come and talk about it. I'm afraid it's going to start a fight when I come over, right? There's no time to grind. Naruto turned his head to look at the medicine man, and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes and asked, where is Mizuki? The medicine master took 2 steps back in fear, shook his head frantically, and said nervously, I don't know what you said, adult. Naruto sneered. If he didn't know the character of the medicine master, he would really be deceived by him. In an instant, Naruto's figure was like a thunderbolt, and instantly appeared in front of the medicine master, grabbed his neck with one hand, picked him up, and said coldly, don't show me your acting skills here, I'll ask you again in the end, where is Shueiyue? If you can't answer, die. Naruto's arm seemed to have the power of 1,000 pounds, and the medicine master who grabbed it couldn't breathe in his pocket, struggling desperately, and his face turned red. After Naruto's hand loosened a slight gap, Yakushi gasped desperately, and said with fear on his face, on the 2nd underground level, Mizuki is there. In Naruto's eyes, Yakushi didn't see a trace of mercy. He felt that if he didn't say it, Naruto really could kill him. The Big Snake Pill is really a ground mouse. Naruto muttered slightly, releasing the hand that was holding Yakushi's pocket and looking towards the ground. Won't let you go down. Orochimaru gritted his teeth and roared, spitting out countless cobwebs from his mouth. Spider nest open. Earth escape enchantment. Earth dungeon hall no. Jirobo clapped his hands on the ground, and the ground instantly cracked, and countless rubble gathered towards Naruto. Psychic Rashomon. On the ground where the left near right hands clapped, there was a loud bang, and it seemed that some behemoth was about to break through the ground. Taiyuya suppressed the fear in his heart, put his hands on the flute, and blew it again. Finale Episode 9. Rebellion of the Magic Mirror. 3 ghost-like phantoms tore towards Naruto. Seeing the attack of the 4 people, the medicine master just took a deep breath, did not have the idea of stepping forward to help, and turned and ran towards the distance. Although I don't know what kind of strength Naruto Uzumaki has, Yakushi feels that these attacks alone will definitely not be able to help Naruto Uzumaki. Indeed, in the face of the 4 attacks, Naruto just smiled faintly. Jumping up, he put his hand on the ground and chanted, beast bones scattered everywhere. Spire? Red crystal? Wheels of steel. The moving one is the wind, and the still one is the sky. The sound of spears exchanging shots resounded through the void city. 63 Thunder Roar Cannon. Click, click. A series of deafening thunder bombardments appeared in Naruto's hand, turning into a golden thunder that Naruto held tightly in his hand. Boom! With a loud bang, dazzling golden thunder blasted down from the sky, and the gathered rubble was shattered in an instant, followed by 3 ghosts. Only one scream, and it was shattered by the broken road. Rushing out from the ground, with a wide mouth, Rashomon, as if mocking the enemy, was directly smashed out of a large hole in the middle, and the spider's nest was also shattered in an instant. With a deafening sound, the ground shattered, revealing a round hole leading to the next level. Just kidding. Kaguya had a cold sweat on his head, looking at the golden thunder in shock, and even the 3 ghosts she summoned were shattered in an instant. It's like Shura. In the distance, the medicine master had a small snake coiled in his hand, his pupils shrunk sharply, and he muttered dully. Episode 64. Pretending to be struck by lightning. Shura? That's a good name. Naruto said with a smile. In the past, when he was a child, some people always said that he was a monster, but now it seems that it is better to say that he is the Asura in charge of killing. I'm not praising you, Kaguya said through gritted teeth. When facing Naruto, they had a deep sense of powerlessness, as if there was an unshakable mountain in front of them. With all their strength, they could not destroy the mountain in the slightest, but as long as the mountain stretched out his finger, it was enough to crush them to death. Damn, you must stop him, you can't let him enter the second layer. Oni Orochimaru gritted his teeth and said in a tone full of determination. The second layer is the vital research room of Lord Big Snake Pill, and it is also the key to Lord Big Snake Pill's rebirth. Even if they die, they can't let this guy enter. Naruto stretched out his index finger and said playfully, broken path for white thunder. Click. A blue thunder like lightning instantly penetrated Orochimaru's shoulder. My shoulder. Onitamaru covered his shoulders and screamed in pain. Visible to the naked eye, Orochimaru's shoulder was pierced into a hole the size of a fist. One of the ways of binding stuff. Naruto's index finger swiped in the sky, and an esoteric text appeared in midair. In an instant, the 3 of them involuntarily put their hands behind their backs, plopping down on their knees, no matter how they struggled and roared, but it still had no effect. It's too strong, it's simply not human, the medicine master said with shock in his eyes. One move to kill 4 strong people who are close to Shainin, although Lord Orochimaru can also do it, but it is still very difficult to want to be so fast. But look at Naruto's expression. It's easy to tell. After defeating the 4, Naruto jumped down the hole that the thunder roar shot through. After jumping through the dimly lit hole, Naruto looked around in shock, feeling his scalp tingle. The lower floor is said to be a research room, rather than a coliseum, except that the coliseum is not an animal, but a human being about his age. These human eyes, red as blood, are locked up in cages that can be opened at any time. At that time, Naruto can imagine the scene of killing each other. It must be blood flowing everywhere. Does this really make people stronger? Naruto shook his head slightly. He didn't think that between life and death, the improvement of human strength would increase significantly. After all, ninjas obtain great strength by refining chakra in their bodies. In other words, every time they refine a chakra, they will cause a little damage to their bodies. This kind of damage will not be shown when you are young, but when you are old, you may be worse than ordinary old people. Of course, the kind of 3 generations of Hokage does not count. After all, it eats well all day, and there are various supplements. Even if you are old, you have a certain combat effectiveness. And by fighting each other, stimulating chakra to improve, according to Naruto's guess, these people will not live to be 40 years old, but Orochimaru does not need them to live to 40 years old. As long as they change their bodies every once in a while, it is enough. I'm afraid if it goes on like this, the Big Snake Pill will not be far from death if it is reborn a few more times. Naruto muttered, then turned away amid the many crimson gazes. These people chasing after him has nothing to do with him, let alone have no value to use. After he is rescued, this will come to kill him in order to show loyalty to the Big Snake Pill. So what are you doing to save them? Water moon, water moon, water moon. Naruto's eyes kept glancing, and finally, in the corner of the research room, Naruto finally saw a huge glass jar filled with water. Seeing this huge glass jar that was empty, Naruto finally had a smile on his face. Ghost Lamp Water Moon. The owner of the blood succession boundary of the Ghost Lantern family. The body can turn into a stream of water and be immune to physical attacks, but at the same time, the resistance to Lei Dun is extremely low. And this glass jar at the moment should be a device specially used by the Big Snake Pill to trap the ghost lamp Shueisue. Broken path, number 4 White Thunder. Naruto stretched out his palm, and a blinding thunder shot out, leaving a bright arc in the sky, instantly piercing the glass jar. Oh, yes, it hurts. A voice full of pain shouted out of thin air in the glass jar, and in the slightest arc of thunder, the scattered water on the ground quickly converged, turning into a man with white hair and purple eyes, sharp teeth, wet and naked. What are you? Too rude, right? Shueisue asked viciously with a pained expression. If he hadn't dodged in time just now, I'm afraid his heart would have been penetrated by thunder. Sorry, I didn't notice you. Naruto smiled nonchalantly and waved his hand and said, no sincerity at all. Shueyu complained, and then asked with a shark-like smile, then I ask you now, what are you? He heard the sound of battle coming from above the research room, but he had the courage to attack the station of the Great Snake Pill, and he was able to walk here unharmed, which made Shueyu couldn't help but be interested. Me? Naruto pondered carefully, and then raised a smile and said, call me young lord. I'm not asking you what I should call you, I'm asking who you are. Shueyu asked viciously, I'll talk about this later, you come with me first. Naruto smiled and grabbed Mizuki's shoulder. Mizuki's gaze was cold, and suddenly turned into a stream of water, wrapped around Naruto's body, appeared behind Naruto's back, pointed his finger at Naruto's head, and revealed a shark-like smile. So, don't talk to me in such an amazing tone. Will die. He is the concubine of the Ghost Lantern family, and the 3 water shadows of the previous generations of the Mist Ninja Village are all from the Ghost Lantern family, and the Ghost Lantern full moon is born with a sense of pride. How can it be so easy to submit to others? Thunder roar. Naruto said lightly. Boom. A golden thunder instantly enveloped Shueyu. A Shueyu's hands danced with electricity, and her hair stood up. After the power of the thunder roar cannon was over, Shueyu's face was blackened by electricity, and he was lying on his stomach and wet, a living water ghost. So pretend to be struck by lightning. Naruto grumbled, stretched out his hand to carry Mizuki on his shoulder, and jumped out of the hole. Episode 65. Please don't refuse me. I remember that guy. It's called Ghost Lantern Water Moon, an experimental product abandoned by Lord Orochimaru. Looking at Naruto's distant back, Orochimaru muttered. Taiyuya nodded and said, because the Ghost Lantern family's hydration ability is not very strong, and the restraint is also obvious, so Lord Orochimaru has long given him up. I don't know what this person took him for. Although they didn't know Naruto's purpose, they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief in their hearts when they saw that Naruto only took away 1 water moon. Ghost lamps. Water moon? A small snake on the body of the medicine master pocket heard the hoarse voice of the big snake pill. At the same time, in a place far outside Oto Ninja Village, Orochimaru pondered slightly. After a long while, he looked to the southwest. It seemed that the only role of Shueyu was to know the southern stronghold. After a moment of contemplation, Orochimaru turned and galloped south. At the same time, Mizuki's body was paralyzed, and he was weakly carried on his shoulder and followed Naruto. The ghost man doesn't behead again. I didn't expect that you, who has the decapitation knife, actually degenerate, actually fell and was willing to sink and float with a little ghost. Shueyu mocked weakly. When he was a child, he was already a famous ninja world if he didn't behead, but he didn't expect that after 7 or 8 years, he would actually live more and more back. Shut up, otherwise even if you are the younger brother of the Ghost Lantern full moon, I will kill you. He said in a low voice. In the face of the strongest illusion ninja instantaneously stopping the water, what can he do? Not to mention that Uchiha Shisui and Uzumaki Naruto can kill him at any time. Even if he doesn't kill him, being changed by other gods is a more frightening thing than death for not being chopped. Mizuki curled the corners of his mouth indifferently, and then looked at Naruto Uzumaki. Ugh! A bitter woo broke through the air, instantly penetrating Shueyu's head. Shueyu's head turned into a stream of water, and then recovered as before, vigilantly looking at Uchiha, who shot out Kuwu. Uchiha looked at him and said coldly, don't let me see you looking at Naruto-sama with that look again, otherwise, the next time will be your death day. Yes. Shueyu waved her hand weakly. He still didn't know what the 9-tailed man named Naruto Uzumaki had the ability to actually make the 2 elites happy and sincere. Moreover, one of them still killed their Mist Ninja Village, and even his brother was ashamed of himself. After a long journey, Shueyu said helplessly, the front is the southern stronghold, but the guards inside are not big and have a small temper. Why are you looking for that stinky woman? Naruto Uzumaki looked at the forest in front of him and smiled with joy. Swirling phosphorus. His mother's family. Naruto walked into the forest first, and Uchiha stopped the water and quickly followed, and without chopping, he sighed and followed Uchiha to stop the water. Uzumaki Naruto, Uzumaki Kakami, Uzumaki. Shueyu was still muttering. He remembered that the big snake pill once said that the last clan of the Uzumaki clan was only Uzumaki Xiangfos. In addition to Uzumaki Phosphorus, the rest of those who have the bloodline of the Uzumaki family are just impure bloodlines that have been left out, and have nothing to do with the Uzumaki family. In that case, why did Naruto Uzumaki go to find Uzumaki Phosphorus? Is it to re-establish the Vortex Ninja Village? As Shueyu muttered, a sharp bitterness suddenly stabbed over, and Shueyu's pupils shrank and quickly raised his index finger. Water gun, Shu. H. The water bullet and Kuwu collided in the sky, and Kuwu fell weakly. Che, failed. A female ninja standing in a tree, red hair and red eyes, wearing glasses, wearing a purple top that exposed her belly, black hot pants, black stockings, and black ninja shoes, sighed in disappointment. Stinky woman, are you the pervert that prisoners often mention? Shueyu asked viciously. Idiot water monster, believe it or not, I killed you? Xiangfo said without showing weakness. Red-haired and red-eyed, are you the whirlpool phosphorus we are looking for? No longer chopping held the decapitation knife in his hand, and looked at the whirlpool incense phosphorus vigilantly and asked. In the confrontation just now, he could see that the strength of Uzumaki Kazu was not very strong, but he didn't think it would be so simple for Naruto Uzumaki to be so insistent on looking for someone. Don't be so nervous, I'm not interested in fighting with you, you can do whatever you want. Vortex Xiangfos withdrew Kuwu and said. In his perception, Ghost Lantern Shueiyue and that person from the Shueiyue family were the weakest. However, the strength of not chopping and stopping the water is very strong, stronger than her. And as for the purple-haired boy at the head, it scares Uzumaki Xiangfos the most, because she felt that it was not a person, but a roaring nine-tailed demon fox. She was not interested in losing her life for the sake of the big snake pill. A smile rose on Naruto's face, and the appearance of his body changed, changing to the original appearance of wearing a black robe and golden hair. Ugh. Naruto's figure flashed, appeared in front of Keiko, and smiled. Uzumaki Naruto, please advise more. Uzumaki Kakari was startled by the sudden Naruto, and the figure involuntarily took a step back and fell straight down the tree. Naruto smiled and hugged Uzumaki Kakami. Don't be so nervous. My mother is Uzumaki Joshinai, your kindred. What? Princess Uzumaki. Not only did the Uzumaki Phosphorus Master shout out, but even Uchiha was shocked. Uzumaki Joshinai, that is the wife of the 4th generation of Hokage wave Feng Shui men. Naruto Uzumaki said that he was the son of Uzumaki Shinai, wouldn't that mean? Is Naruto Uzumaki the son of wave Feng Shuimon and Uzumaki Joshinai, the prince of Konoha village? Naruto heard Uzumaki's voice and asked with a smile, so, you know my mother? Of course, Uzumaki Joshina is the princess of the Uzumaki ninja village. Uzumaki Xiangfos said with shock in his eyes. It's much easier to do. Naruto showed a hint of a smile, feeling a slight boiling of blood in his body, as if the blood had begun to burn. Leaning down, Naruto said softly, I have something I want to ask you, please don't refuse. At the same time, 3,000 meters away from the southern stronghold, Orochimaru was sitting on the head of a huge poisonous snake and was rushing towards this side. Ho ho ho, forcibly breaking into the ninja village, actually just to go to the southern stronghold. What is the purpose of that guy? Orochimaru smiled hoarsely, licked his lips with his long tongue, and showed a look of interest on his face. Episode 66. The Resurrected Shadows. Hey, you, what are you going to do? Kakato looked at Naruto, who leaned down with a look of horror. Although Naruto's strength is stronger than her, and he is the son of the princess, he can't use it against her. After Uchiha saw it, he quickly turned his gaze to the side, and saw the 3 people who were not chopping the water moon intently, frowned, and walked towards the outside of the forest with the clothes of the no Shueiyue. What for? What for? I was seeing the idea, why did you pull me away? Shueiyue said with a look of dissatisfaction. This is the Living Spring Palace, it's rare. No longer broke free from Uchiha's arm to stop the water, and without Uchiha's order to stop the water, he walked outside without thinking about himself. Shueiyue glanced at Shueiyu, and said coldly, give me no big or small, and then live in illusion. Mizuki pouted, and did not dare to talk to Uchiha to stop talking. With his hands behind his head, he walked listlessly towards the outside of the forest. When the 3 of Uchiha came to the outside of the forest, their pupils suddenly shrunk, and they looked vigilantly at the giant snake about 100 meters in size in the distance. 10,000 snakes. The big snake pill guy is here. Shueiyue walked beside Zaibu and said with interest, Lingjun Great Snake Pill. No more jealousy. The legendary 3 ninjas, each of them has the strength of the shadow, among which the Lingjun Great Snake Pill may not be the strongest, but the means are definitely the most cruel and ruthless. Block him, don't let him disturb Naruto-sama. Uchiha held a short knife and said coldly. Shueiyu showed an incredible expression, and hurriedly chased after him. Hey, don't let that kid come over to help in this case, we still have to buy him time. Naruto-sama must have his considerations, do you have an opinion? Uchiha stopped the water kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes turned wildly, and his blood-red eyes stared at Mizuki and asked. Of course. Before Shueiyu's natural words were finished, he was slapped in the back by Zaiwu. Stinky boy, not at all like your brother, what's so much nonsense? No more scolding. Looking at the reminder in his eyes, Shueiyu nodded depressedly and said, I know, I'll help. Uchiha stopped the water before turning his gaze to Orochimaru. Seeing this, he breathed a deep sigh of relief. This is already a battlefield, defying the order. If he hadn't reminded Shueiyu just now, I'm afraid Uchiha would have used illusion to control Shueiyu. And in the distance, Orochimaru and Kaguya Kuinmari stood on the head of the snake. The moment he saw Uchiha stop the water, the big snake pupils shrank sharply, revealing a deep shock. Konoha's instantaneous Uchiha stopped the water. I didn't expect him to be alive. No wonder I didn't find his body. Orochimaru whispered in shock. Then Orochimaru ordered Wansnake to stop moving, and confronted Uchiha from afar, with a hint of jealousy on his face. Uchiha Shuizu, the strongest illusion ninja of the Uchiha family. His attainment of illusion has thrown off Uchiha Itachi Hachiho, and his pupil art is the strongest illusion art other god, which can change people's minds. Thinking back to Uchiha's information about stopping the water, Orochimaru felt a headache. He himself is not good at illusion, and as a result, he has come to a fantasy ninja with the strongest in the Uchiha family. I didn't expect this technique. The first time I dealt with it amazingly was a dead man. The big snake pill showed a touch of excitement, licked his lips, stretched out his thumb to bite it, and slapped it on the ground. Psychic soil rebirth technique. The ground is covered with a layer of black patterns, and 3 coffins rise from the ground. That is, Shui Ueha looked at the coffin in amazement. They understood the art of channeling, but what does it mean to channel 3 coffins? Don't behead the Lord again, there are words written on the coffin. Bai pointed to the first, 2, and 4 words on the coffin and said anxiously, he instinctively felt that this would be an important news. Filthy soil reincarnation. Uchiha took a deep breath, his eyes showed shock, and muttered, the art of rebirth in the dirt, the forbidden art that can summon the dead from the netherworld. The people summoned are all killing machines. Is it possible? Are those 3 adults? Listening to Uchiha's voice of stopping the water, he suddenly jumped in his heart, turned his head and stared at the 3 coffins. Wouldn't it be the 3 Hokages? With the crunch of the coffin planks, bang bang bang, 3 coffin planks fell, and 3 men appeared. The original Hokage Senjutsu, with long black hair, wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform, with a red stacked hanging armor on the outside, and the stacked hanging armor on the left shoulder is tattooed with the symbol of the Senju clan. Both hands have red iron bracers at the wrists. The second generation Hokage Senjutsu, silver-haired, red-eyed, with a face protector-style iron brace, 3 red marks on his cheeks, wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform, a blue stacked armor on the outside, and a white down collar attached to the back at the shoulders. The fourth generation of Hokage wave Feng Shui men, yellow hair and blue eyes, wearing a white Hokage robe with the words 4 generations of Hokage written on it, a ninja green vest lined with it, and a blue tights. Shoo! Uchiha stopped the water and didn't gasp again. It's really those 3 adults? Uchiha said in shock. It's really amazing. Uchiha, stop the water, let's hurry up and call Naruto, and get out of here. He said anxiously. Even if he is arrogant, he knows that he is not the opponent of Hokage, let alone talk about pacifying the Thousand Hands pillar of the ninja realm. Nope. They must not be allowed to disturb Naruto-sama. Uchiha gritted his teeth fiercely and said firmly, the situation here, Naruto-sama must already know, but Naruto-sama did not let them evacuate, indicating that what Naruto-sama was doing at this time was definitely more important than this crisis. No more chopping showed an eager look on his face. Facing the 3 Hokage and still not wanting to escape, is he crazy? Ho ho ho, since you don't want to run, let's feel the strength of Hokage. Orochimaru licked his lips and said hoarsely, the Thousand Hands pillar and the Thousand Hands pillar walked out of it and slowly opened their eyes. This is dirt rebirth. Qianqiu glanced around and said in a majestic tone, who summoned us? Thousand Hand pillar asked suspiciously. The big snake pill glanced at the wave feng shui gate that was motionless, walked to the front of the Thousand Hand pillar and the Thousand Hand pillar, and revealed a smile. 2 Hokage-sama, I summoned you. Your enemy is Uchiha, who betrayed Konoha. Please kill them. Episode 67. Awakening King Kong Blockade. The Uchiha family is born an evil little ghost. I know that you must not die with a wolf heart. Qianqiu stepped forward with an angry face, and a blue chakra rose up from his body, and the ground even began to shatter under this fluctuation. If you don't cut it, you feel some toothache, although they can be regarded as traitors, but the big snake pill is not a good thing, and the wicked sue first. Mist Shinobu, the Shui Wuyue family and the Ghost Lantern family, the people of the Uchiha family, do you have any explanation? The eyes of the Thousand Hand pillars swept over by Shuiyue's body, and he stepped forward and asked, it's not good to say a secret word in your heart. The chakra nature of the bloodstained boundary owner was very different from their ordinary ninjas, and after the original Hokage felt it, it was troublesome to explain. Uchiha took a deep breath, stepped forward, and said respectfully, the first Hokage-sama, I am Uchiha Shueisue, a descendant of Uchiha Mirror. This mission is to capture the big snake pill who betrayed the village. Please don't believe the big snake pill's nonsense. Kagami. Senju's brows furrowed. Uchiha Kagami was a member of his elite escort force, and he was one of the few Uchiha clans who could gain his trust. His descendants. This time, there is a little headache between the Thousand Hands. There is no one around. Even if he wants to ask anyone, he is helpless. A few seconds later, Qianqiu looked at Bai Shueiyue with cold eyes and asked, then what is going on with the 2 of them? It can't be that the Mizuki family and the Ghost Lantern family joined Konoha, right? Shui Wuyue family, not to mention the Ghost Lamp family, the second generation of Water Shadow, is the Ghost Lamp family. It is impossible for the family that owns the Water Shadow to betray the village. Uchiha stopped the water without hesitation and said respectfully, second generation Naruto-sama, these 3 are the ninjas of the Mist Ninja village that I captured. With me here, they dare not make a second attempt. What an arrogant tone. Qianqiu snorted and said, then if you kill the 3 of them, I will trust you. When Orochimaru heard this, an evil expression appeared on his face, and he licked his lips. In the face of the first Hokage and the second Hokage, Uchiha may really be able to kill 3 more people. Uchiha became vigilant again, holding the weapon in his hand, and slowly left Uchiha to stop the water a few steps. Second generation Hokage's order, I naturally won't disobey. Uchiha stopped the water, holding the short knife in his hand, and his icy gaze looked at Zai Wushu. Damn, I knew Konoha ninjas couldn't be trusted. Without scolding angrily, he quickly blocked the decapitation knife in front of him, and at the moment when the Thousand Hands and the Thousand Hands pillar fell into deep thought, Uchiha stopped the water storm, and the kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes rotated wildly to look at the Thousand Hands pillar and the Thousand Hands pillar, and the hand quickly froze. Fire dragon, fire art. A fiery flame, like a fiery dragon, suddenly enveloped the Thousand Hands pillar and the Thousand Hands pillar. So fast, the pupils of the Thousand Hands shrank sharply, and the body was shrouded in flames, constantly shattering, recovering, and the hands quickly froze. Water rush. 1,000 hands stretched out their palms, and a sharp stream of water rose up and penetrated the flames with a thunderous momentum, actually using such a powerful water escape out of thin air in a waterless place. No more shocked muttering, huh. It is worthy of what my grandfather said, the Hokage who signed a contract with the sea. Shueiyu smiled like a shark, and suddenly turned into a stream of water and merged into the rushing water. Shiro quickly created an ice crystal in front of him and melted into it. So fast, this guy's speed is not ordinary. The Thousand-Hand Pillar traced the trace of Uchiha stopping the water, and said solemnly. Seeing this, Orochimaru smiled evilly and said in a hoarse voice, 2 adults, Uchiha is protecting the people in the research room in front. Please kill the people in the research room as soon as possible, otherwise I am afraid that something will be wrong. After speaking, the body of the big snake pill turned into a touch of soil and merged into the ground. Abominable. Uchiha scolded angrily. The big snake pill is too cunning. If the big snake pill stands in place, he only needs to use other heavenly gods. But right now, seeing Senju walking towards the forest, Uchiha could only block it, and his voice was as firm as a stubborn stone. Dead heart, with me here, I won't let you go over and disturb that adult. Humph. The Thousand Hands snorted coldly, and they all launched an attack with the Thousand Hands pillar. Water break. Mudan Tree Realm has arrived. At the same time, in the jungle of the southern stronghold. Ah, it hurts. Naruto-sama, please be lighter. Such a large range. I am also the first time. Please be gentle. In the jungle, there was a reverie-provoking moan. Don't worry, it won't hurt you a lot. Naruto leaned over Uzumaki's neck and gently bit it with his teeth, sucking in a stream of soft chakra, and said indistinctly, Uzumaki's Yangfos nodded with a rosy face. As the swirling chakra was sucked into Naruto's body, a wonderful feeling of heat rose up in Naruto's heart. It is like a 4-headed fire dragon, constantly colliding in the body, and there is a feeling of not vomiting or unhappy. Useful. Naruto had a hint of joy on his face. Sure enough, the Whirlpool family cells are too powerful, and even the people who are treated will be assimilated by the Whirlpool family cells. In Boruto's legend, Sasuke Uchiha's child looks unusually similar to Kakashi, which is probably the reason. It's not close, it's almost awakening. Naruto took a deep breath, hugged Uzumaki Kabu tightly, buried his head in Uzumaki Kakuro's neck, and quickly inhaled. Naruto-sama, I feel a few more monster-like chakras coming outside. Well, Orochimaru-sama's chakra is also inside. Do you need to go out? Uzumaki's Yangfos said breathlessly. Wait a little longer. Naruto felt a surge of relief in his body and immediately knew that something had happened. His physical fitness was already stronger than ordinary people, and coupled with the cells of vortex phosphorus, he had already broken through the limit once. Naruto licked his lips, and licked a tooth mark on Uzumaki's neck that he had bitten out, and smiled and held Uzumaki Kato in his arms. Naruto-sama, are we going to run? Uzumaki's Yangfos' face flushed abnormally, and said weakly. In the perception of the vortex phosphorus, those chakras were like erupting volcanoes, powerful and amazing. Don't worry, leave it to me next. Naruto touched Uzumaki's hair and said with a smile, Uzumaki's Yangfos nodded and fell into a deep sleep. Naruto smiled slightly, and in this way in the posture of a princess, he quickly shuttled through the forest, heading in the direction of Uchiha stopping the water. Episode 68. Naruto Uzumaki on ginseng. Boy, your Susanoo is far worse than Uchiha's. Does this strength want to stop us? Senjuma looked at Uchiha, who was in Susanoo's care, and said with disdain. At the beginning, Uchiha fought with his brother, and with his complete body, he shattered all 10 mountains. And Uchiha stopped water, although there are many artifacts. But Susanoo's hardness is at least twice as weak as Uchiha's, and it was broken by a water break wave in his area. Uchiha stopped the water in Susanoo, and glanced at the 3 people who were covered in scaly wounds, and their faces were full of bitterness. Too strong. The combat experience and strength between the Thousand Hand Pillars and the Thousand Hands Pillar are really too strong. The 3 of them only fought for less than a minute before they were seriously injured. The Susanoo he used shattered twice, and now his eyes were blurry, and Susanoo didn't know how long he could hold out. But for the dead to use other heavenly gods, Uchiha stopped the water and was a little hesitant. Because the Thousand Hands and the Thousand Hand Pillars are both reincarnated bodies of dirt, even if they use the Great Snake Pill of other heavenly gods, they can be turned into puppets to control them, and other heavenly gods are useless. It's a complete death. Uchiha took a deep breath and silently prayed in his heart, hoping that Naruto would see the battle on this side and get out of here quickly. Otherwise, in the face of the Thousand Hands Pillar of the pacifying ninja realm, and the Thousand Hands Pillar of Shui Duan, even Naruto is definitely not an opponent. Your name is Uchiha Shisui, right? If you tie up now, I will spare your life and hand you over to Uchiha at your disposal. A thousand-hand pillar stood on a wooden dragon and persuaded loudly. Qianzhou shook his head helplessly. His eldest brother's compassion was really a bit of a headache. The Uchiha family has been destroyed by your Konoha. I am an avenger from hell. Gamble on the name of Uchiha, and I will never let you pass, Uchiha said in a determined tone. He should have died years ago. Living to this point is completely revenge and gratitude to Naruto. And now, it is just to return this life to Naruto. The Uchiha family is really a group of arrogant wolves. Since that's the case, then you should die. Senjima took the lead in attacking in order to avoid saving people with compassion among the Senju pillars. Water dragon bites burst. Boom! A furious stream of water suddenly gushed out from under Uchiha Susanoo, rushing Susanoo into the sky, and then the water turned into the appearance of a water dragon, opened its sharp fangs, and bit towards Susanoo. Not good, Susanoo 99. Uchiha clenched his teeth and roared, and the green Susanoo's breastplate opened, instantly shooting 99 green arrows. However, after the arrow shot out, a flash of despair flashed in Uchiha's eyes. Can't stop it. Previously, Senju broke his Susanoo once, and Senjukuma broke once, and his pupil power was not enough to support Susanoo for defense. The water dragon between 1,000 hands is enough to crush his body to pieces. The big snake pill then rose out of the ground and looked at Uchiha with an evil gaze. Is Konoha's instantaneous body about to fall again? Orochimaru said with a hoarse smile. At this moment, a flat voice came from the jungle. King Kong blockade. Ugh. Swish. 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 4 piercing sounds of breaking the sky suddenly sounded in the jungle, and 4 golden chains, like 4 golden dragons, rushed straight into the air at a height of 100 meters. That's sister-in-law's King Kong blockade. Senju shouted out in a lost voice, his eyes full of disbelief. The King Kong blockade of the Vortex family will actually shoot out in the jungle, protected by the rebel forbearance. It's really King Kong blockade. The face between the 1,000-hand pillars became solemn. His wife is Uzumaki Mito, the princess of the Uzumaki family, and he is naturally no stranger to the King Kong blockade. But the question is the holder of the King Kong blockade friend or foe? After the 4 golden dragons rushed into the sky, they suddenly bound the water dragon, contracted fiercely, and directly burst the water dragon. Immediately after that, 4 golden dragons caught Uchiha, who fell from Susanoo, and stopped the water, and quickly contracted. As the King Kong blockade contracted, a young man with purple hair and wearing a white imperial god robe walked out of the jungle, indifferently. 4 golden chains placed Uchiha under a large tree, and then all returned to Naruto's body. Uchiha wiped the blood flowing from the eyes of the kaleidoscope riding wheel, and said apologetically, I'm so sorry, my lord, I'm afraid it won't be useful. Naruto smiled and waved his hand. Don't say that, it's enough that you can block them for so long. Although the 1,000-hand pillar and the 1,000-hand pillar are affected by the host body, resulting in the strength is not as strong as before death, it is definitely a stable shadow, can block them for so long. Uchiha is proud enough. Looking at Naruto and Uchiha Shisui's conversation, Senju stepped forward and said coldly, Little ghost of the Uzumaki family, are you also an enemy of Konoha? Although Senju's voice was cold, it was still a little softer than the voice of Uchiha, stopping the water. After all, Konoha village and Uzumaki ninja village have been friends for generations, and his sister-in-law is still the princess of the Uzumaki family, so naturally he can't be as rude as he is to Uchiha. Naruto glanced at them and nodded indifferently. Yes, I will destroy Konoha with my own hands. As soon as he heard this, Senju didn't fight a single place, and as soon as the figure moved, he wanted to subdue Naruto Uzumaki and hand it over to the Uzumaki ninja village for disposal. At this moment, the 1,000 hands pillar stretched out his hand and stopped the 1,000 hands pillar. Big brother. A look of surprise flashed on Qianzhou's face. I don't know what the eldest brother stopped him for. Senjukuma looked at Naruto, took a deep breath, and asked with a complicated face. The boy of the Uzumaki family, you are the Ninetails human pillar force, right? He had a lot of dealings with the Ninetails, and it was he who sealed the Ninetails in his wife's body, so he was no stranger to human pillar power. When Orochimaru heard this, a strange flash flashed in his eyes. The 9-tailed human pillar force, Uchiha Shisui, King Kong blockade. Could it be? Naruto saw that the 9 tails in his body were seen, and the corners of his mouth hooked a smile, and his purple hair changed into golden broken hair, and said with a smile, it's worthy of being the original Hokage. Naruto in the lower whirlpool, join it. Episode 69. The seriously injured Senjukuma. It's really him. A strange flash flashed in the eyes of the big snake pill, although after listening to what the thousand-hand pillar said, he had some guesses in his heart. But I was still a little shocked to see this scene. Naruto Uzumaki, who was under the care of Konoha village, was actually at nowhere, and when he has enough power to fight Konoha, planing the ground and not chopping again. Ghost lamp water moon, Uchiha stop water, and there is a boy without water moon. Teacher Sarufii, you miscalculated this time. Orochimaru licked his lips, and couldn't help but mock in his heart. Orochimaru continued to watch with interest, and did not interject. At the moment, Senjukuma have already determined that Uchiha Shisui is a traitor who betrayed Konoha, and if he goes to sow discord again, it may backfire. The nine-tailed man pillar force would actually say to destroy Konoha. Could it be that the Uzumaki ninja village has already torn up the agreement with Konoha? Thousand-hand pillar asked in a deep voice. At the beginning, the Uzumaki clan and Konoha made an agreement not to invade each other and help each other, but now that the nine-tailed man Jili is here, he can only think of this one idea. No, the Vortex clan has been destroyed, and the agreement has long been broken. Naruto smiled and stretched out 4 golden chains. King Kong blockade. Oh yes. In an instant, the golden chain rushed towards the thousand-hand pillar like a shooting star, and the speed was so fast that it was almost overwhelming. Oops, big brother, our body can't use particularly powerful ninjutsu. Senju frowned and said. He was the initiator of the development of the art of rebirth of dirt, and naturally knew the shortcomings of the art of rebirth of soil. No way. The thousand-hand pillar took a deep breath, and before he had time to think about why the Vortex clan was destroyed, he clapped his hands together fiercely and shouted, Mudun Tree Realm has arrived. Click, click. The ground shattered in a violent arc, and one sapling after another spread out from the crack, instantly rising into the appearance of a towering tree. The thick roots quickly spread towards the chains blocked by King Kong. Boom, boom. The chains blocked by King Kong left a harsh sound, like a dragon, which began to spread along the roots of the tree, and Mu Duan's ability was actually suppressed. It's worthy of the King Kong blockade, between the doors, and the water escape. A trace of solemnity appeared in the eyes of the thousand-hand pillars, and he shouted, Oh! Thousand Hands agreed, his hands quickly sealed, and a high-pressure stream of water spat out from his mouth. Water break. The high-pressure water instantly cut off the roots of 7 or 8 large trees, cutting towards the chains blocked by King Kong, and the ground that was cut through during this period shattered one after another. Can you cut off the attack of the roots of the divine tree? Naruto narrowed his eyes at the current. In addition to the forbidden technique, his water escape is also extremely powerful, and with his body, he cannot resist the slash of this water flow. Hole, void. Naruto slid his finger towards the air in front of him, and an obstacle that looked like a transparent mirror formed in front of Naruto out of thin air. Boom. The high-pressure water rushed above the obstacle in an instant, making a harsh sound. Actually blocked it. A look of shock appeared on Senju's face. His water-breaking wave, even Uchiha stopped the water Susanoo cut off, even the eldest brother's wooden dragon could not block it, but it was blocked by a defensive technique casually by Naruto Uzumaki. This strength, even in the Warring States period, is definitely not weaker than the shadow. Thousand Hands muttered solemnly, Ho ho ho, to Hokage-sama, Sarutobi Hinata-sensei is old, and Konoha village is not strong now, so when facing Naruto Uzumaki, I can't invite you two out, please be sure to kill him. Orochimaru said hoarsely. After the big snake pill finished speaking, there was a hint of playfulness in his eyes. When they learned of Konoha's proximity, the 2 Hokage would definitely not show mercy to their subordinates, and maybe they would kill Naruto Uzumaki. Let him see what strength the Ninetails Pillar Force has. Sure enough, after hearing the words of the big snake pill, the face of the Thousand Hands gradually became cold. Boy, with me here, you don't want to destroy Konoha. Senju roared and pointed his thumb at Naruto. Shuei dun bow strike. In an instant, the furious lake water converged into a river, rushing towards Naruto in waves, and Senju also merged into the sea and disappeared. Broken road red cannon. Naruto stretched out his palm and said lightly, and a fiery cannon instantly slammed into the surface of the sea. Boom! The sea water was boiled by the blow, but the Thousand Hands were not visible. Suddenly, a pair of hands broke out of the water and grabbed Naruto's feet, trying to drag him into the sea. Not good, Uchiha shouted, anxiously trying to stand up, but saw Naruto wave his hand lightly. What a lot of strength. Thousand Hands gasped. It was hard to imagine how such a young boy could have the power to resist his strange power. The eyes of the thousand-hand pillars in the distance also showed a trace of shock. Monster power is a ninjutsu passed down from generation to generation by their Senju family, although the Senju family has not learned well, but the power is enough to destroy a small mountain. But it didn't work for Naruto, and even dragged him out of the sea. Naruto bent down sharply, grabbed the palm between the thousand hands, pointed the palm at the sea, and chanted coldly, "O King's Landing! Masks of flesh and blood, Gyantan? Wings? O one who bears the name of man! Carved double lotuses on the wall of fire, and wait for the abyss of fire in the distant firmament. 73 Double Lotus Fire Pendant. With a boom, under the desperate struggle between the thousand hands, two pale blue flames fell from the sky and crashed into his body. Boom! The surrounding water was instantly evaporated, and half of his body was burned between the thousand hands, and he retreated in pain. Water rush. In the flames, a thousand hands quickly froze, extinguished the blue flames burning on the body with a stream of water, half knelt on the ground in pain, endured the pain and gritted his teeth and said, "Big brother, be careful. This kid's ability can attack the soul. The reincarnated body of the soil can be immune to all physical attacks, but the only weakness is the soul. Their souls were summoned back from the world of death and have no physical body, so soul attacks worked exceptionally well for them. But as far as the second Hokage knew, the ability to attack souls was not too much in the entire world, but he didn't expect Naruto Uzumaki to be one of them. 73 caused this effect. Naruto slowly hooked the corners of his mouth, pointed his palm at the Senjuku pillar, and smiled. First Hokage, it seems, I can kill you. Episode 70. Oh world, let the gods be chained. Humph. With the imps of the Uchiha family, for a long time, even the personality has become this arrogant personality. Shancho stood up with his shoulders covered and said with a cold snort, although his soul was damaged just now, it did not affect the battle. He didn't believe that with his combat experience, there was no way to help a teenager. What about arrogant personality? You two are not arrogant, aren't you also dead? Ridiculous idealist. Naruto taunted without showing any flinch. In Naruto's opinion, Senjukuma was an idealist. It is simply ridiculous to impose one's own ideas on the whole world, thinking that it is enough to make the world peaceful with love. Love cannot be inherited, only hatred, anger, and jealousy can be inherited. After Junbu died among the Thousand Hand Pillars, the ninja world immediately started the most brutal war. Sand Shinobi Village, Iwa Shinobi Village, Yun Ninja Village, and Kiri Shinobi Village, because they want to obtain more fertile land, have all gone to war with Konoha. If you follow Uchiha's idea and merge your entire vision into an empire, not to mention how many years it can be inherited, at least it will not collapse after the death of the Thousand Hand Pillars. What do you mean? Senjuju asked with a frown. He didn't know what was really going on in the ninja world today. Why were the Uchiha family and the Uzumaki family exterminated? Why did the Nine-Tails Pillar Force draw their swords against Konoha? Why Naruto Uzumaki called him an idealist? These, Senjukuma did not know. You won't know. Naruto snorted coldly, and his left foot and right foot slammed heavily on the ground, shooting out like a golden flash. Not too fast. Seeing Naruto's speed, Senju breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Naruto did not have the speed of Uchiha to stop the water, otherwise, he really was not Naruto's opponent. The tree realm has come. The Senjutsu pillar gripped his hands tightly, and one by one the thick roots spread to each other, tightly wrapping towards Naruto. Naruto's eyes moved, and in an instant, the 4-week golden chain burst out. Click, click. The entangled roots were instantly broken by the chains, and the pear blossoms were scattered all over the place with rain. Naruto smashed the root of the tree in front of him with one foot, pointed to the Senju pillar and said, "The original Hokage, chains are harder than wood, this is common sense." The original Hokage's gaze was solemn, his strength was not completely played, even with Muduan. If he was in a complete state, Mudun would definitely not be broken so easily. Water dragon bites burst. Senju suddenly turned his hands on Naruto. A violent stream of water gushed out from under Naruto's feet, trying to rush Naruto into the sky and bite his body off like he had done against Uchiha to stop the water. Broken Road Thunder Roar. Naruto slapped his palm on the ground, and the raging thunder blasted the ground out of a large hole, and the water that had not fully evaporated was evaporated at once. It's so weird, I don't know what the ability is. Does the Vortex family's blood succession limit have this ability? Shancho said with an ugly face. If the Uzumaki family had this ability, then during the Warring States period, I am afraid that it would be a three-legged one. There's no time for you to look around. Naruto let out a low roar, his figure was like a nimble cheetah, and he rushed out in an instant, and the chakra all over his body converged towards his palm, and his voice was like a god's whisper, faintly revealing a cloudy coat of arms, an untamed talent, a tide of denial, paralysis, a moment, hinders a long sleep. The crawling princess of steel, the clay puppet that constantly mutilates itself, combines, bounces, and extends to the ground, knowing your powerlessness. 90 of the broken path, black coffin. Boom. A black coffin appeared out of thin air in the sky, emitting endless dark substances, firmly wrapping the thousand hands in it. What is it? I can't get out, big brother, hurry up and destroy this enchantment with your wooden escape. Shancho looked at the dark scene around him and roared anxiously. It's useless, Naruto said lightly. The moment he stood up, countless sharp rays of light flashed in the black coffin, accompanied by a piercing scream. Between the Hatsuma, the thousand-hand pillar roared, stretched out his left hand, and the overwhelming thick roots slapped towards the black coffin. However, before the roots of the tree touched the black coffin, only a click was heard, and the black coffin shattered into black elements in the sky, fusing into heaven and earth. Kuruma, the thousand hands pillar, anxiously ran over, and when he just saw the scene between the thousand hands, his pupils suddenly shrank. There were hundreds of huge wounds that did not bleed, and although the body was constantly recovering, the thousand hands were already in dizziness, and they couldn't even hear a sound. The body of the rebirth of the filthy soil has been destroyed. Orochimaru's pupils shrank sharply, and he stood up in disbelief, patting the root of the tree. The reincarnation of the soil, the deceased who came from the world of death, who had an immortal body, actually fainted. It's not destroyed, Naruto said with a hint of a smile, it's just that his soul is already full of holes. At least he must rest for a week, otherwise his soul will be scattered. The big snake pill gasped, and there were 7 or 8 kinds of soul-destroying abilities. It's just Tianka, a reincarnation with a weak soul. Naruto Uzumaki, I'm really angry. The voice between the thousand hands pillar looked at Naruto Uzumaki with a slightly cold voice, his body covered with red chakra, and his left hand was aimed at Naruto. People who want to hurt the village, even if they are my relatives, brothers, friends, I will not let go. Mudu Mingshinman, boom. Several bright red wooden stakes formed out of thin air in the sky and smashed down on Naruto at a rapid pace. The Myojin Gate, which can suppress the 9 tails, is worthy of being the original Hokage, and he found a way to deal with Naruto Uzumaki so quickly. Orochimaru couldn't help but marvel. Naruto Uzumaki possesses the power to destroy souls, but as long as he does not go head-to-head with him, he is helpless to use the sealing technique. King Kong blockade. Naruto frowned, and the overwhelming golden chains formed a large net, crisscrossing each other, blocking the fall of the Myojin Gate. Click, click. The golden chain collapsed instantly, and the Myojin Gate fell straight down. The King Kong blockade, which can also suppress the 9 tails, is still the strongest sealing technique that is no match for Mudun in the state of just awakening. Naruto took a deep breath, opened his hands, and laughed loudly. It is worthy of being the strongest Hokage, even in an incomplete state. You can have this strength, but what if you are facing an artifact? Heavenly lock. Oh world, want to bind the gods too?